Hello, I'm Christine Gulbranson, SVP and Chief Innovation Officer for the University of California System. I'm delighted to have Leigh Radford here joining us, who is the Vice President and General Manager of Procter & Gamble Ventures. Welcome, Leigh.
Thank you, Christine. It is great to be here.
We're excited to get an insider's look into what you do at Procter & Gamble Ventures. To start us off, tell us about Procter & Gamble Ventures and how it differs from other corporate venture groups.
Well, first of all, we're not a traditional financial arm. We are actually a startup. We run a portfolio of startups, and that's both inside and outside the company.
Wow.
And so we really look to solve, big consumer pains around the world, and really taking the best of what a startup with the best of what P&G is and bringing it together. So that's what we're all about.
So what are your core areas of interest and why? Tell us why.
Well, of course, we're in the fast-moving consumer products business. So we are focusing on things that have consumable components. And that could be with technologies, but also just consumer products that deliver the needs of consumers. So we focus on not only how consumers are buying, but what they're buying. So we're trying to really understand, and we do understand where the puck is going, and then looking for technologies and brands that can help deliver those consumer needs. There are multiple areas that we focus on. A couple of them are in the areas of personal health, personal performance, male wellness, medicated skin, and non-toxic home. Those are a few of the ones that we are focusing on. Big problems that need to be solved.
Those are big problems because I really try to have our house be non-toxic. It's so important to me. And when I heard that you guys are working to solve that problem, I was like, yeah, hallelujah.
Yeah, you and many others.
Right?
It is a big need. And in the whole issue right now is a lot of times that consumers have trade-offs because they want things that are non-toxic and more natural, but a lot of them times the performance isn't as good. So if we can really, and those are things we're working on, finding technologies that allow us to break that performance barrier, it's a win-win for everybody.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does Procter & Gamble Ventures fit into the overall strategy of P&G itself?
Good question. So we're kind of the tip of the spear, I like to call it. And what that means is that we are designed on purpose to be the leading edge of finding new ways to innovate in different and big ways. So a team of roughly 100 folks, half of those being on the R&D, to help optimize and build IP and technology to make our businesses stronger. And the rest are consumer commercial leaders that are looking for new ideas to fill that space. So we are pushing boundaries. We are allowed to do things that the big engine a lot of times can't, because it's interesting, you're trying to innovate and you're trying to protect a $11 billion business is very different than when you're trying to grow and develop a brand new startup. So we have the ability and the support to allow us to do that in different ways.
So you're the nimble group.
The nimble group, nimble and more external, and it's really a lot of agility.
I like that. So say I have an MVP that's a non-toxic home good, and I'm looking to start manufacturing, scaling, and gaining market traction. How does Procter & Gamble help me?
So one thing we're really aim to do is to be the best partner possible for entrepreneurs. And that is different for each entrepreneur. And sometimes they need scale up, sometimes they need regulatory help, sometimes they need go to market or branding. And so it's really about what is the best that we can bring the best of P&G to that. So if there's some great ideas out there, we want to hear them. We know these are the spaces that we want to invest in, and we know these are big market problems, not only in the US, but globally. And so we're looking for those entrepreneurs to come in and say, hey, we're looking to different type of partnerships and helping us solve the issues that may be more difficult for an entrepreneur, but we have a lot of scale that can help us do it. But we do it in a very nimble way that is just an amazing partnerships with the entrepreneurs that we work with.
I think that's a great partnership. As an entrepreneur myself, when you're starting a company, you can't fund regulatory person to go and help you with that. That is a huge deal, especially when I was in the clean tech industry. Yeah. So we look for partners like you, and you sound like a great partner to have for our entrepreneurs. Yeah. So many investors are focused on unicorns or high growth startups, right? That show quick, short-term results. What are you looking for at Procter & Gamble Ventures?
we're in for the long run. So what we're looking for is not only, of course, we're looking for big opportunities. We're looking for big opportunities that we know consumers around the world are missing. But we also are looking for IP. And the reason IP is really important to us is because we like to build moats around our brands and our technologies. Because not only is it about acquiring consumers, but retaining them. And I think what we've learned over many, many years is the loyalty also comes with great products. So we're looking for great technologies and great IP that literally brings the best of those worlds together.
Well, we have a lot of IP here, so we
I
should be
know.
talking, right? Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
All right. So describe what you see as the changing patterns of consumption for the future.
Oh, good question.
I'm sure you've got a lot of insights that you can share with us.
Yeah, there definitely are a lot of changing in consumptions. Again, I think I mentioned earlier, it's not about not only what they want, but how they're consuming. And if you think about how consumers are consuming these days, they're consuming in more of a digital world. They're consuming in a more biotech world. And those are just two examples that we know that consumers are looking differently about how they're consuming. It's also, who's consuming? The Chinese middle class, a huge, huge target for us. The aging consumer base, millennials in general. Those are all big places. We always want to be where the puck is going, not only on the who, but also the how.
So what is Procter & Gamble's interest in startups coming out of the UC system?
There's a lot of interest.
Yeah. I was hoping to hear that from you.
There is a lot. And I think it's really about communicating that there are alternative ways to start businesses. And that's, as we've been doing this over the past few years, we realize that there's a lot of great opportunities for VC funding, but there's sometimes also an alternative for different type of co-developments. And that's what we're really here about. And just seeing and having visibility to some of the technologies I know that we have seen and talked. There are some great synergies in the spaces of where we're trying to play and invest with some great alumni, faculty, and students sitting within your school system.
Well, I do enjoy our talks about that because I love talking about new technologies coming out of the UC system.
I do too.
So Procter & Gamble is known for its ability to innovate. How does Procter & Gamble Ventures complement Procter & Gamble's already successful strategy and performance?
We first of all, we're very lean. And lean allows us to move fast, allows us to take better risk, and allows us to just do a lot of experimentation. So, but at the same time, we have the ability to lean in on the mothership, meaning the fact that there is a lot of, we talked about regulatory and science and technologies and, histories that you can just bring out of the vaults with employees that when we're trying to solve a problem, it's really great that we have thousands of scientists and PhDs and marketers that have most likely, done things very similar or willing to solve big problems. So we're nimble in the fact that we're our own unit, but we always lean into where we know that there's some great expertise behind us.
And you do have a lot of resources to tap into, don't you?
Yeah, it's a gift. It really is a gift.
Yes. Okay, so what are the resources or competencies you're looking to invest in or acquiring for Procter & Gamble Ventures?
The competency we're really looking at, first of all, is from the entrepreneur themselves. So what we find on entrepreneurs, they think differently. And I learn a lot. We all learn a lot from what we see in entrepreneurs every day and their ability to solve problems in different ways and bring interesting combinations, the networking that they have, and just literally the way they think. And then complementing that with what P&G has is just a really interesting magic. So when a lot of the relationships we have in our portfolio today are so much stronger because of that relationship of looking at what an entrepreneur can bring. They also have science and technology. I mean, especially in the university setting.
And IP.
And IP. And I think I had mentioned earlier, the reason that P&G and P&G Ventures feels so strongly about IP is that we're looking at billion-dollar brands that we can scale over, built for life, built to last. And that means you really do make sure you're solving the consumer problem in a way that delights them and also brings a moat around your brand and proposition.
Right.
Because we want to invest big behind them. And to invest big behind them, you need to know that there's some solid IP that keeps it steady.
So say we have a UC startup that fits your investment profile. How should they reach out to you?
Well, we have a website at pngventureslab.com.
Great.
So reach out.
This has been great, Leigh. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing more about Procter & Gamble Ventures with our UC entrepreneurs and innovators in the system.
Oh, Christina, it's been a pleasure. You know, I'm a really big fan of what you're doing here in the University System of California, and we know that there's great things ahead of us, and we look forward to the partnerships ahead. Thank you.
Thanks. And that's all for now. Make sure to look out for new videos as they're coming out from the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And if you haven't already, sign up for our newsletter. Thanks for watching and have a stellar day.